Search is everywhere. The question is, are you showing up? This is Search as a Channel.
So, if your company's entire blog just disappeared from the internet tomorrow,
Oh, wow.
right, would the market actually lose any unique knowledge? Or, would your prospects just go to a competitor's website and read the exact same variations of the exact same articles?
Yeah, that is the painful question, isn't
It
it?
really is. And if your honest answer is that nobody would really miss your content, you are sitting on a massive business problem.
Well, it's actually the single most critical vulnerability for digital marketing today. I mean, most brands are producing inventory. They are producing assets.
Right? Just filling up space.
Exactly. They're filling calendars with words that simply echo what the internet already knows. And the harsh reality is that, well, echoing the consensus is just no longer a viable business model.
Which is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We're breaking down how you, agency owners, marketing directors, business decision makers, how you need to pivot your entire organization away from this commodity trap.
It's a huge pivot.
It is, and our sources for this are really fascinating. We have a strategic analysis titled, "The Only Moat Left in Search is Original Insight," alongside a really deeply technical breakdown by Harry Clarkson Bennett, and that one is called "How Google May Understand Unique Content."
And, the stakes here really cannot be overstated. We are not evaluating editorial quality or grammar.
Or whether you have a nice, quirky brand voice.
Right, exactly. We are looking at a fundamental distribution crisis. Because the protective moat that used to guarantee your business's visibility online, it is completely evaporated.
Wow.
And the only replacement is this concept called information game.
So let's contextualize what actually happened to that old moat, because for a decade, the SEO playbook was essentially an industrial volume game, right?
Totally.
You found a keyword, you spun up 10 slightly different pages targeting variations of that keyword, you built some backlinks to boost your domain authority, and boom, you captured traffic.
Yeah, and the underlying assumption there was that authority alone would win the day. You could publish a completely unoriginal summary of a topic, but, well, if your domain rating was high enough, Google would still put you at the top of the page.
Which is crazy to think about now.
It is, but that entire paradigm has collapsed. Authority without a unique contribution is suddenly totally useless. I mean, we have to remember what a search engine's job used to be compared to what it is now.
Right.
Previously, Google acted like a librarian, just pointing users across the web to compare 10 different versions of the same answer.
So the user had to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
They had to synthesize all those links themselves.
Exactly. But today, AI systems and these modern search algorithms, they do the comparison step instantly on behalf of the user. The system synthesizes the consensus for you.
Okay, so if your content merely summarizes that consensus, you're just creating clutter, not leverage. It's like, think of the old search results page, like a massive buffet. You walk in, you grab a plate, and you see 50 silver trays lined up. But when you lift the lids, every single tray contains the exact same generic, out-of-the-box mac and cheese.
That's a great way to look at it.
Right. Sure, one tray has a slightly shinier lid. Another tray has a nicer label with a higher domain authority. But it is the identical food. And nobody needs 50 trays of the same mac and cheese.
No, they don't. And the algorithms have finally realized they can't afford to keep offering 50 trays either. There's this great line in this strategic analysis, consensus is commodity.
Consensus is commodity. I love that.
Yeah, it hits hard. Because when a machine can scrape and summarize the general agreement of the internet in 2 seconds, paying a human writer to do the same thing is just a massive waste of capital.
Especially when you consider the sheer volume of content we're talking about here. I mean, I know it's easy to joke about the endless sea of SEO slop. I think I've personally read the phrase in today's fast-paced digital landscape about 40 times this week alone.
Oh, at least. We all have.
But the scale of this game is still staggering. The data in our sources shows that out of over 5 trillion searches a year, Google is still processing 2.92 billion clicks to the open web every single day.
Right. So the open web is definitely not dead. The traffic is still very much there.
Yeah.
I mean, 2.92 billion clicks is a massive pie.
Huge.
But to capture any slice of it, brands have to stand out in an environment of total redundancy. You can't just serve the same mac and cheese anymore. You have to bring a completely new recipe to the table.
Which opens up a really fascinating technical puzzle, because we understand the theory, right?
Yeah.
Google wants originality. But how does a piece of code actually calculate uniqueness?
It's a great question.
It's one thing to tell a marketing team, hey, be original. It is another thing entirely for a mathematical algorithm to quantify human originality at scale.
Right, but we actually have a very clear blueprint for how they approach this problem now. It stems from a specific Google patent titled Contextual Estimation of Link Information Gain. And Harry Clarkson its analysis of this patent. It breaks down the mechanics brilliantly for non-technical leaders. It all comes down to evaluating documents in a sequence.
Let's map out that sequence for everyone listening. How does the math actually function when a user runs a search?
Okay, so assume a user clicks on an article to learn about, say, optimizing a supply chain. The algorithm labels this document 1 or D1. The user reads it and gets a certain baseline of knowledge.
Makes sense.
Now, your marketing agency publishes a brand new article on supply chain optimization. We'll call yours Document 2 or D2. When the system evaluates your new document, it assigns it an information gain score, which is typically framed on a scale between 0 and 1.
Okay, so this score is essentially like a Venn diagram.
Exactly like a Venn diagram.
If document 1 is a circle and your new document 2 is a circle placed directly on top of it, your information gain score is 0.
Yep.
Because Google only cares about the sliver of your circle that hangs over the edge into completely new, uncharted territory.
That sliver is literally the only part of your content that hold any value. The score represents the net new information your document adds beyond the baseline the user already got from D1.
Wow.
And if your document doesn't add novel information, the penalty is severe. It doesn't just rank a little bit lower. According to the patent's logic, it can be entirely excluded from the search results.
Just wiped from the user's journey entirely.
Completely gone.
Because the system calculates that sending the user to D2 is a literal waste of server electricity and the user's time.
Right. And Harry points out a threshold in his analysis that, honestly, should keep every content director awake at night. He notes that as little as a 10% difference in information gain could literally be the dividing line between a piece of content succeeding or being entirely ignored.
10%.
Yeah. If your article is only 5% different from the existing consensus, the algorithm just views it as a duplicate.
Okay, I get the Venn diagram concept, but I'm still struggling a bit with the mechanics of the measurement itself. We are talking about machines processing vectors and semantic relationships here. How does an algorithm actually measure something as abstract as the effort a brand put into a piece?
It sounds impossible, right?
It really does. I mean, can it actually tell the difference between a writer who spent 3 days interviewing a subject matter expert versus someone who just, asked an AI to creatively rewrite the top 3 search results?
It absolutely can. And the sources detail 2 specific mechanisms Google uses as proxies for that human effort. The first is a signal literally called content effort.
Really? Content effort?
Yeah. It's an LLM-based estimation, meaning they use a large language model to evaluate the text and estimate the physical and cognitive work invested in creating it.
Wait, so they are using an AI to catch people who are just using AI to cut corners? That's wild. How does an LLM measure cognitive work?
By looking for semantic leaps. So think about when a tool like ChatGPT rewrites the top search results for, say, email marketing. It relies on the most statistically probable next words.
Right. It just guesses the next word.
Exactly. So we'll talk about open rates and subject lines because literally every other article does.
Yeah.
Those concepts are clustered closely together in the database.
So predictable.
Highly predictable. But if a human writer goes and interviews a real practitioner, they might discuss something highly specific, something like inbox provider throttling limits during Black Friday.
Right.
That represents a massive semantic leap. The LLM recognizes that novel entity and scores it as high effort because a simple summarization tool just wouldn't make that connection.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It's looking for the statistical anomalies that prove you actually did original research.
Yes, exactly.
So what's the second mechanism?
The second, and perhaps more brutal metric, is nav boost. And this actually came to light during the recent DOJ antitrust trial. Nav boost relies on 13 months of historical click and engagement data. It actually tracks the user journey.
This is the pogo sticking concept, right? Where Google watches what you do after you click a link.
Yes. Nav boost doesn't just count the click, it maps the satisfaction. So if a user clicks result number 1, stays for 4 seconds, hits the back button, clicks result number 2, and stays for 3 minutes without ever returning to the search bar.
It knows they found the answer.
Right. Nav boost logs that result number 2 actually solve the human intent. Google knows with an unerring level of accuracy whether your content is satisfying a need or if you're just tricking a click.
And they have to be ruthless about enforcing these metrics now, don't they? The sources note that over 50% of the internet is currently classified as AI-generated content. Google simply does not have the computational resources to index billions of pages of identical summaries.
No, they don't. It is a pure efficiency mandate for them. Evaluating information gain and content effort saves them billions in server costs. So if your agency is relying on generative AI to produce bulk content, you are playing a game that the platform is actively trying to shut down.
And if Google is already doing this, that creates a massive blind spot for anyone relying on AI to generate their marketing materials. Because AI is just another consensus machine. It only trains on the historical average.
Exactly. And the AI multiplier effect is where this transition becomes incredibly painful for legacy marketers.
Yeah, the sources reference a study by Kevin Indig that illustrates this perfectly. He analyzed what actually gets cited by generative AI tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity when they assemble an answer.
And what did he find?
He found that first-party research, so original data, surveys, benchmarking that you actually went out and discovered, is incredibly rare on the web. Most people just aren't doing the work.
Right.
But when you do include first-party research, your content earns 3.3 times more citations from AI models.
Wow. 3.3 times. I mean, original data is the single strongest predictor of page originality. Think about how an AI engine constructs a response, right? It needs evidence to support its claims. If your web page is just a summary of what everyone else says, the AI can absorb that concept without ever needing to link to you as a source.
Because you offer nothing proprietary.
Right. But if you own the original statistic, if you are the only one who surveyed 500 CFOs about their software spend,
the AI is mathematically forced to cite you as the source of that data point.
Exactly. And this leads to what the strategic analysis calls the moment of truth for digital marketing agencies. If an agency's core offering is still built around coverage, keyword optimization, and just raw output volume, they are selling a commodity.
And the client is eventually going to wake up to that. Once an in-house team realizes they can prompt an AI to generate a grammatically perfect 1,500-word blog post on demand for pennies, they're going to look at their agency retainer and ask a very uncomfortable question.
Why are we paying you thousands of dollars a month for content that adds zero proprietary value to our brand?
Yeah, that is the existential crisis facing the traditional agency model right now.
It is. The value proposition has to move upstream. Agencies can no longer afford to operate as mere content producers.
Yeah.
They have to evolve into what the source material describes as insight extractors, research designers, and narrative architects.
I love that phrasing. It's essentially the difference between hiring a fast typist versus hiring an investigative journalist.
That's a perfect analogy.
Right. A fast typist is incredibly useful if you already know exactly what you want to say and you just need someone to get it onto the page quickly. That is commodity content. It's cheap, it's replaceable, and frankly, a machine can do it faster than any human alive today.
Exactly. But an investigative journalist operates on a completely different level of value.
You don't hire a journalist to type, you hire them to dig. You hire them to find the angle that nobody else has seen, to interview the reluctant experts, unearth the raw data, and build a narrative that actually changes how the market thinks.
Right.
The fast typist creates inventory to fill a calendar. The investigative journalist builds an information asset.
And for a business decision maker, an information asset provides indispensable, defensible value. It is a moat that a competitor cannot just copy and paste. I mean, they cannot ask ChatGPT to recreate your proprietary customer survey because ChatGPT doesn't have access to your customers.
Okay, I hear that, and it makes sense conceptually. But I'm looking at my budget right now. If I pivot my entire agency team to investigative journalism, and I have to spend 20 hours interviewing a client sales team just to produce one single blog post, my output drops by 90%. Isn't the loss in publishing volume going to kill my traffic anyway?
It's a common fear, but the flaw in that thinking is assuming that the volume strategy still has a future at all. You're trying to protect a traffic stream that is mathematically guaranteed to disappear. Uniqueness feels expensive because it requires friction. But the sources actually provide a very reassuring roadmap here. You do not need a Fortune 500 research budget to create information gain.
Okay, so where does a mid-sized agency or a scrappy marketing team actually start?
You start by mining internal knowledge before you mine keywords. Every single business is sitting on a gold mine of proprietary data. You just have to tap into the people on the front lines, the sales team, the customer success managers, the support reps.
The people who actually talk to the market every single day.
Exactly. Because they hear the recurring objections, they deal with the bizarre edge cases, they notice the subtle shifts in buying patterns long before those trends ever show up in a keyword research tool.
But most brands never publish this insight.
Never. They keep it hidden in Slack channels and CRM notes while they simultaneously pay freelancers to write generic keyword articles on their public blog.
Taking that internal hidden knowledge and turning it into a public asset is just such a massive missed opportunity. The sources also highlight the power of showing your work. It's about bringing actual evidence to the table. You can't just write a headline that says software implementation is difficult. You need to show the messy reality.
Because evidence is the dividing line between an asset and a commodity.
Right. So share the actual screenshots from a failed test your team ran. Publish the benchmarking data pulled directly from your own internal workflows. Show a raw before and after comparison from a real client project, complete with the chaotic process notes.
Yes.
Anything that proves you actually made contact with reality is going to trigger those content effort signals we talked about earlier. It proves human investment.
And beyond just raw data, brands must cultivate a distinct point of view. You must publish sharp interpretations of the market. Like, what do you believe is shifting based on what you are seeing across multiple client accounts?
A generic consensus summary is forgettable.
It is. A sharp, evidence-backed interpretation forces the reader and the algorithm to actually pay attention.
So how does an agency owner or a content director actually operationalize this day-to-day? Because the strategic analysis laid out a fantastic simple filter. It's this 3-question test that every single piece of content must pass before $1 is spent producing it.
It really is the ultimate diagnostic tool for information gain. Let's walk through it. Question 1, what new information does this add? Question 2, what unique evidence supports it? And question 3, why would a search engine or an AI system choose this over the thousands of other available sources?
Let's apply this in real time to show how it works. Say I run an agency representing a B2B software company, and the client wants an article on SaaS pricing strategies. If I just follow the old playbook, I Google the topic, I see everyone talking about freemium versus tiered pricing, and I just rewrite it.
And you probably start the article with, in today's fast-paced digital landscape, pricing is crucial.
Exactly.
Which immediately triggers a low information gain score.
Yeah.
To pass question 1, what new information did this add? You don't rewrite the basics. You go to your client's director of sales and ask, what specific pricing objection is killing our deals this quarter?
Okay, so maybe the sales director reveals that enterprise buyers are suddenly terrified of per-seat pricing because they got burned by zombie accounts last year. That becomes your angle. It's a semantic leap.
Now apply question 2. What unique evidence supports it? You don't just state the claim. You pull anonymized data from the client's CRM showing the win rate drop-off when per-seat pricing is pitched versus flat-fee pricing. You quote the sales director directly.
And that leads naturally to question 3. Why would an AI system choose this?
Exactly.
It chooses it because it's the only page on the entire internet containing that specific CRM data point and that specific expert quote. The system has to cite you. If your team cannot answer those 3 questions confidently, the content just doesn't have a moat.
You're just competing on production efficiency at that point. And trust me, you do not want to compete on efficiency against machines that get cheaper and faster every single quarter.
It forces a total reframing of marketing output. It is the distinction between inventory and assets. Inventory is just stuff that fills up a spreadsheet. It's the blog post you publish on a Tuesday simply because the calendar says it's Tuesday.
We've all been there.
But assets create true leverage. They earn citations from AI models, they build trust with human readers, and they cannot be cheaply substituted by a competitor using the exact same software.
And when you synthesize all the technical patents, the algorithmic shifts, and the AI research we've discussed today, the bottom line thematic takeaway is profound. Google is not waging a war on content. It is waging a war on redundancy.
The algorithm isn't trying to punish marketers. It's just trying to clean up the buffet.
That's it. If your strategy depends on publishing yet another version of what already exists, your protective moat is gone. The water has drained out. But if you can consistently contribute original data, your messy real-world experience, and your expert interpretation, you're building exactly the kind of information asset that search engines and AI models are desperate to find.
And completely unable to replace.
Exactly.
The era of commodity content is over. For you, the agency owners and business decision makers listening to this, The challenge now is to scrutinize your budget, look at your team's daily workflow, and actively reallocate your resources. Pull the budget away from producing sameness and push it toward insight creation.
Stop paying for fast typists.
Yes, start investing in the investigative journalism of your specific niche.
It really is the only sustainable path forward in an environment where AI instantly commoditizes the consensus.
We will leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over with your team at your next strategy meeting. Look closely at your entire business operation. What is one specific thing your brand knows to be absolutely true based on your own direct, messy, real-world experience that your entire industry category is still failing to publish clearly? Because whatever the honest answer to that question is, that is the exact information asset you need to build next.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe.